2023 has come to an end, and what an end it has been. The best performing sectors came out from realty, auto, and consumption. Money is being poured into small cap funds, and money has been taken out from large cap funds. But do you think this is going to sustain in 2024? What are the ideas that an investor needs to invest in the coming year? Join me this Saturday where we will understand what the outlook for 2024 looks like and the opportunities that 2024 has to offer.
Today we are going to speak on the topic, how should an investor manage his time? There are two things an investor is always focused upon. One, money. An investor wants to have enough and more money to invest when an opportunity is before him. And more often than not, most investors find themselves out of money. In the sense, you run out of money faster and don't have enough money to invest. You have more ideas and less money. The other ingredient, ironically, is something the investor has more than he needs, and that is time. What happens when you have more than what you need of something? You all know what happens, right? You start realizing that you need to use what you have better. There's always scope to improve it. And when you have less than what you need, then you become more efficient. Today I'm going to ask Subra about what he does with his time, how time gives him an added advantage in everything he does. So tell me what you do with your time.
One thing we all learned from COVID is there has to be some slack built into everything. And the example which I like is what my friend who is a brain surgeon says: if a part of the brain, even if half the brain is damaged, the other half has the capacity to take over the functions of this side of the brain. This is amazing. And he says we know only 20% of the capacity of the brain. We need two kidneys, we need only one kidney, God has provided us two. So naturally there is so much of slack built into it. I think similarly entrepreneurs should have slack time. That is the time when you sit doodling, maybe doing nothing, but you're thinking. So you think of a problem and suddenly you go for a walk or you do meditation or whatever and you come out with some ideas. So building some slack into what you're doing is very important. Instead of saying, I see people do that even with their children. 3 to 4 this class, 4 to 5 this class, 6 to 7 this class. Don't crowd the child, don't crowd your brain, don't crowd your time. Have slack time. That's the time when you might come out with some great ideas. So you should have time and you should have hobbies.
I've seen a lot of investors who pack their days with activity just to feel that they are not wasting time. They will do meetings which are avoidable. They will track companies which they are not even interested in. Or even they will look at what investors are doing in companies which they intensely dislike. Then they will be doing things which actually spread bad energy or spill bad blood with people. All this just to be busy. Whereas if the person does only his investment work, he would probably have 3-4 hours of work in a day. So to fill out the day, he does twice as much work which he doesn't need to do. So this effectively makes him focus more on what he doesn't need to do or he should not do than on what he needs to do. The crowding basically creates a confusion, and after a while you are only driven by what engages you, not what is your priority.
No, it's like food, right? It's not great skill to know which food to eat. Maybe you should eat an idli or a dal chawal or rice and or a dal and roti and one salad. That's what you need to eat. But when you go to a buffet, there's a tendency to overeat because too much variety. I mean, 140 items there, you tend to look at more things. Exactly like that, you need lesser number of ideas that implemented well. How many good multi-baggers do you need in your life? 5, 6, not more than that. Other than that, the compounders will always take over. Why would you crowd your day with things which are actually going to harm you? It completely reduces your energy. It is an energy reduction which is happening. So you look at cooking, you look at gardening, all these are very, very clearly linked to investing. You know, if you sow a seed for mango, it will take 5 years. You can't do anything about it. You cannot say, I'll put hot water and it will happen faster, or I'll put more fertilizer. You have to just protect it and it will grow, and after some time it doesn't need you. If you have bought a Colgate or P&G long back, you don't need to do anything. It will keep giving you dividends. It looks after you. So the tree goes down, collects its own water. It doesn't need your help. That is how your portfolio should be. You're creating an heirloom for your family. After some time, these plants should take care of themselves. That is how it should be. So why crowd yourself with unnecessary things? Fund manager talks, CIO talks, CEO talks, and so much of data available. Why would you crowd it? Even books. If that book is not relevant, if you're not going to use, I think reading also is exaggerated. You have to read a book and you should be able to write 10 pages or 20 pages about the book, what you learned. Read the same book. There is nothing wrong in reading the same book, maybe 3 times, 4 times, 5 times. Each time you understand it differently. So I think that's what you should be doing. Instead of reading too much, read little but read it well.
So this is the social media era where people read on social media, and when they read on social media, something which they like gets registered, it stays on top of the mind. But they read so much and disjointedly. Let's say you're on Twitter, you're scrolling, you're not going to get the same subjects, you get different subjects from different people giving diametrically opposite views. You keep reading continuously. After spending 2 hours, if I ask you what is it that you read that made a mark on you, most people will not come up with a very accurate answer. They'll say, yes, I saw this guy's handle. They'll say whose handle they saw. They won't be able to summarize the view exactly. Very few people have that kind of intensity or competition because the attention gets so badly diffused. Suppose you're going from Twitter to Facebook, from there to LinkedIn, and then to YouTube, and you're doing this in different orders of sequence for 3-4 hours. After spending those 4 hours, most people struggle to tell how they have made those 4 hours productive for them. The confusion is much higher than just reading a single book, which you just mentioned. How do you manage social media? Tell me how you manage your time also. You spend a lot of time on social media, I know that. We all do. But how do you come out of it after spending 2-3 hours? Are you able to internalize, or do you try?
What happens is I write down something somewhere. So if I like something, I try writing it down. Anything, could be quotation, could be Morgan Housel, Dalio, any of these people whom I think they add value, I'll write it down somewhere. Because I notice one thing, that you can read without concentration, but it's very difficult to write without concentration. You cannot write without, I can't be talking to you and writing. I can be talking to you and reading, but I can't be talking to you and writing. So writing helps. Writing could mean typing, but that helps for sure. Somewhere you note down all those things. And I'm in social media more for fun, because there's no money to be made or anything. So you're just having fun there. So when somebody asks questions, I reply, I try to reply. And if the question is reasonably good, I answer. Otherwise, I just ignore. So am I there to... I'm more serious on YouTube. I mean, when you say social media, on Twitter I'm more having fun, but on YouTube my videos are very serious. I try to post that on Twitter rather than take away something from Twitter. But yes, it gives you access to what some people have written, and many people do this. I mean, even the Morgan House will post some of his articles there. So I'll take that link and then read it and try to note down something somewhere, that what I have written now. So if I'm on social media, it's more to have fun. Maybe I'm talking about movies or something like that. But on investing, I rarely say things on Twitter. I'm more on YouTube there. So, and I don't think I can make YouTube videos without concentration.
If you are one of these younger generation people, first cycle investors, who has learned everything on social media. Whatever he has learned from YouTube or Twitter or WhatsApp or whatever. What would you do to grow those learnings if you are in the present? As a, let's say you are 21 or something like that, 22. What will you do in the present to, how will you spend your time and how will you spend your time on social media and out of, that is, how will you use what you gained from here or whatever you observed, learned, how do you use it outside social media? Because that's where the problems seem to be.
I would spend some time in finding out who are the real good people in what I want to learn. For example, if I want to learn value investing, I know I should track all of, say, Naren Shankaran's videos or Prashant Jain's videos or any of those things and see how much I can learn from them. So first I will find out which handle to follow, and those handles I will follow. Apart from that, I'll make sure that I don't follow people who are not consistent with what they are saying, or somebody who keeps on saying buy a particular share and I have bought it, it has worked for me. Maybe it has worked for him, maybe it won't work for me. So I don't want people who give me specifically what to buy. I'd rather have people who give me the tools. I'd rather have people who teach me fishing rather than the guy who gives me a fish. The fish is going to be pretty useless, right? So I would look for those. I would follow them on Twitter, and from there I would go to their websites and read, because most of them would have websites also, and try to read there. What the Twitter handle does is tells me, oh, he has posted this. So therefore I will go there and I will make notes. I think journaling is very important in any field, whether you're running, going to the gym, or whether you're investing. Try journaling, and then you will know what you have learned, what you have done. And 2 years later, 3 years later, 5 years later, you realize how many mistakes you made, what you thought was wrong, what you learned was actually wrong, you shouldn't have done that, and how views change, right? So if you take the movies of the 1930s and 40s, the hero used to smoke. If you take the 70s and 80s, the villain used to smoke, and then now there is no smoking in movies, right? So you see how things have changed. By tracking movies, you know how things have changed. Devanand used to ride a cycle, and then Rajesh Khanna came in a car. Then today you have heroes coming even in a helicopter. You see how things have changed, how sizes of houses have changed, how dresses have changed. Similarly, investment styles have also changed. People thought you should hold a share for 7 years. Now people hold it for 27 minutes. So, things have changed. Twitter is likely to harm you in that. Therefore, I would look to Twitter to see which books to read rather than learn on Twitter. Twitter will be a leading tool rather than an end tool.
What do you think of learning from a person who prefers anonymity? Because you're spending a lot of time following anonymous people.
I think you have to like the idea of what that person is saying. If you like the idea, so what if he's anonymous? For example, most Indian big investors are anonymous. They don't want to come out and say, this is my view. They play it quiet, they play it silent, they play inside, they don't even talk about their investments. So you will have to bear with anonymity. If you can access them directly, that's great. But if you can't access them, you have to accept the anonymity. If you can get good gyan from them with the anonymity, take it. I don't think you have to worry too much about why is that person being anonymous. You should take it. But afterwards, if you don't like, you should be able to drop it also.
A lot of people spend time following a few investors blindly. They spend a lot of time hanging on to every word they say. They almost become clones or cronies of somebody else. A lot of their time goes in playing these roles. In the process, they forget to play their own role, which is becoming an investor of some distinction. How can a person who is already hooked to another person be taught to become his own person?
This is difficult, but you also have to understand that unless I signed up a PMS for somebody, the other person does not owe me anything on a continuous basis. Let us say he's got 20,000 shares of a company. He has sold 500 shares and he's bought back 500 shares. I wouldn't know that he has sold and bought back. I would think, oh, he's bought 500 more shares at today's price. Yeah, he's bought it at 70, but he's the same guy who had sold it at 82. So he's just covering, he's not building a fresh position. So his average cost is not changing, he's booking some short-term gains or maybe some long-term gains. So if I don't know every transaction of that investor, then it's too risky. And if I have to know every transaction of that investor, I have to sign up for his PMS. I can't be just hoping that he will update. Like on Monday evening he says, on a Friday evening he says the share is good. Saturday something happens, Monday morning when he sells, it is not his duty to call me and say, look, I'm selling. So if I can't know all the transactions, why he is doing or why she is doing, I should stay away, it's too risky.
What about people who don't have any transactional relationship with these kind of personalities, public personalities, but still have this excess or overdose of adulation? How should they manage their time with respect to adulation? Because sometimes I see that people go overboard, they look at all the videos, comment everywhere, you know, and they are busy praising this person all the time. I'm sure the person receiving it will feel very good, but I think about the investor who is doing this. I would ask myself, why is he doing this? What does he gain from it? Nothing. He's just humoring another person. It's not going to even help him develop personally. How should an investor strike a balance and, you know, try to be more independent and more balanced? How can he become more balanced?
See, these are typically people who are chasing celebrities and they are hoping that when one day that celebrity will recognize them. One of the Gurujis said, people don't go to a satsang to see the Guruji. They go to show themselves to the Guruji. They want to say, I've seen you in Bombay, you have come to Chennai also. That is what they want, that recognition. So these are people basically craving for recognition by doing something like following a big guy, hoping that one day in one of his sessions he'll get recognized or something like that. I really don't know whether it is a good thing or a bad thing or an illness, because you have fan clubs, right?
So all this comes around to people wasting time.
Absolutely. I mean, I don't think there is anything to be gained by doing something like that.
So how can a young investor today manage his time well? Can you tell me something like a good routine, what you would call a good routine today's?
See, I think also reading books is exaggerated. I mean, the importance of reading books. I'm not saying you should not read books, but after you read books, you should be able to make a summary of that book. Will you be able to do a book summary, or have you just grazed? Have you read every chapter? Have you read the important chapters? Have you looked up the references? Have you really done justice to the book? If you have done justice to the book, can you do a 5-page book review or a 1,000-word book review? Can you compare, get the gist of the book? If you can, start writing about it. Start creating a blog. I mean, maybe the blog can be a private blog, but start doing it. There's no point in saying this book, this is a good book, I have it. Is this a book which you have read? Have you understood? Have you implemented? That is something which they have to do. Second, if they can find some entrepreneur or some investor willing to talk to them on a regular basis, they should sound out some of their ideas. People are also looking to doing mentoring for them. So if they find that somebody is willing to mentor them, that's good. It could be one of their professors in college who is also an investor, right? Somebody like that. So create a satsang, I would call. Satsang means like-minded people. Create investor group. Maybe they are value investors, maybe they are growth investors, maybe they are Bitcoin investors. Whatever is your area, try to create a satsang, try to create a group, meet often, talk to each other. So some of these things will help you become a better investor.
Most people form satsang only with those who agree with them. Any thoughts on this?
Yeah, there is always that fear that I don't want to hear somebody who says this fund manager is bad. If I have a favorite fund manager, I don't want to go to a group where people say he's bad. And that happens to any of our ideas. We have some ideas, some fixed, some little flexible. Our own children don't agree with many of the things that we say, so you have to live with it. But I would rather go to clubs where they say value investing is shit, it is only growth investing which you should do, or momentum investing which you should do, because there you're likely to get a different point of view. In value investing, everybody will say the same thing. Oh, PE ratio should be less and etc. etc. There should be dividend yield. We have heard that. But to get a different view is also necessary, because you may not act on it, but you at least start thinking how the other person is thinking, or why somebody will sell the share which you think is a great buy. Only when you hear somebody thrash that company, you're getting the other side of other view of the company. Somebody who's a short seller, I mean, I would love to meet the short sellers of my portfolio, asking why are you selling this? When I am buying, why are you selling? What is your logic? And sometimes it might be, I mean, we may have missed something. So you should hear both sides. Don't get biased. Take down what both are saying, and then still come with your own conclusions.
So effectively you are saying that people should have a mind of their own, they should be judicious with their time, they must not spend their time on any one activity alone and try to allocate time for multiple activities. They should engage with peer groups, including people with a diverse thought process. Somebody who is also not agreeing with you must be in your peer group, whatever you choose to call it, satsang or otherwise. And you also must not get too carried away by anything you do and enjoy doing, like reading, doing a video, meeting people, finding your own stocks, what you already own, is now showing very, very large investors in that list. So all those things are what basically people spend a lot of time on. You're saying that these things, if they are curtailed, then a person will have more time on his hand.
Yeah, I mean, you need more time for yourself. So either you sit and meditate, or you walk and meditate, or you cycle and meditate, or you swim and meditate.
I know one of the very prominent investors whom I have known for over 3 decades. He goes every day for a swim for an hour. And he is a high risk taker, and he is a very aggressive investor. Every day he goes for a swim. Another investor I know gets up at 3:30, goes for a walk for 1.5 hours or something like that. 1 hour of walk, half an hour of yoga, and he has a regimen. After all this, he has a lot of time, whereas most investors say that they don't have time to do exercise, they don't have time to go for a walk, they don't have time to do meditation. And investors mostly, we give that excuse that we don't have time. Whereas if you look deeper and closer, we have all the time and we are misallocating time. If we have a more balanced approach, then maybe we will have time to do what we need to do, and we will not do what we don't need to do. I want you to give your closing comments on how an investor must view his time as a capital and how he must use it to grow himself. A little bit of that and we close the video.
The most popular asset class today is the multi-asset fund, which has equity, debt, foreign equity, gold, everything. Exactly like that. Yes, some time should be given for your wealth. I'm not saying no, but you should also give time for your health. You should also ensure that you, out of the day that you have, if you take away 2 hours, that is still just 10% of the time which you're giving to your health. It could be meditation, could be going to the gym and lifting weights, any of this. Some of the best fund managers are extremely fit also. You see them, they're very fit, they do vipassana, they do meditation and things like that. I think that overall balance of saying, yes, I have achieved what I wanted to achieve financially, but health-wise I have not achieved. I know one of the retirees who is now nursing ambitions to run a sprint for India in the seniors.
Okay.
So you prepare for that. You do all those things which are necessary. Maybe you do movie reviews. Maybe you create a YouTube channel doing movie reviews, or you do religious study. All those things. So that combination will help. Yes, of course, you should look at what is happening in your portfolio, what others are doing. Maybe look at everything. But yeah, but some of these things, and then see, maybe as an investor, you have scored 85 out of 100. That's fantastic. But on the health side, if you're at 32, you have to at least get pass marks. At least come to 50. Why is it in health you think it's not so important? Just because health can't be measured? Something is wrong, because we have to prepare for 100. So at 100, whatever you want to do, at 100 are you going to say, oh, my portfolio is fantastic, but I can't do anything else. So from 70 to 100 I was bedridden. Is that something great? Are you going to feel great about having 10,000 crores at the age of 70 but unable to use it? So that balanced approach helps.
Time is always an underrated ingredient in an investor's life. We feel we are too busy. We want our stocks also to be very, very active. We want our stocks to move faster than other stocks. In everything we are racing against time. In the process, we focus much less on how we can maximize or optimize our output from the time we have. We end up misallocating time and further diminishing the scope to improve our investment performance. Most people who think they are doing everything related to investing all the time end up behaviorally inadequate, and knowing a lot of things and spending so much time on learning a lot of things doesn't even help them. An investor must be extremely judicious with his time, and he must measure his time, must allocate his time, and he must grow his time. He must find more time and be more relaxed and have more time to do more things, and he should have the right to choose to do only what he needs to do. On that note, we end this video and hope that you become a better manager of your time. Thank you.